Hi, this is Phil Spencer, and you're listening to the Inner Circle Podcast. For the fans, by the fans.
Welcome. You are now listening to the Inner Circle Podcast, a premier podcast for Xbox One. I'm your host, KORXKal, and with B Money 101, Anchorman V, and Skittles 1323, we are the Inner Circle. Unfortunately, today we were not able to have B Money 101 as he is preoccupied with other things at the moment. And Skittles 1323 was not able to make it on today's show as well. There's a few topics we're going to touch on today. Today we're going to start with Aaron Greenberg's tweet about how he compared Star Wars to Halo. And in his statement, what he was saying was that what Star Wars is to movies, Halo is to video games. I went ahead and took it a step further and said that Halo is on the same level as Star Wars, but in a video game aspect, the way Star Wars is to movies. And what I meant by that was that when you look at Halo, you look at the series, you look at the success, you look at a multi-billion-dollar franchise, because it is a multi-billion-dollar franchise. We're talking about toys, we're talking about comic books, we're talking about novels, TV shows, animations. They actually still have this thing they're working on with Steven Spielberg that's supposed to be releasing on Showtime. And God knows when they're going to come out with a Halo movie, but I'm pretty sure it will come eventually. This franchise is one of the few franchises in video games that actually is sustaining itself in other ways besides games. The lore, the universe of it is starting to expand. A lot of people who have played Halo 5 know what I'm talking about. A lot of people know about Jameson Locke and Timo Cyrus and how they're starting to expand out from Master Chief, because Master Chief isn't Halo. He is a major character in the universe. However, Halo is a bigger universe than just Master Chief, and they're starting to expand into that space. So, in my opinion, I feel like it's on the same level as Star Wars, but in a video game space, because of the simple fact that you look at what Star Wars has done to the industry. You know, how it's changed the way we do special effects, the way you develop trilogies and things like that, the way they've gone from just the movies to novels to cartoons to tons of video games over decades and decades, and still have been able to be successful in every endeavor that they've done because the fan base is that large, the fan base is that loyal. I feel the same way about Halo. When you look at Halo, you look at how Halo 3 damn near shut down Times Square when they released it. Halo 3 sold 2.5 million copies in 24 hours. That is insane. At $60 a pop, because I believe games were still $60 a pop on 360. That was a ton of money. That blew anything in the movies away. Like, it literally did. It crushed whatever movie came out that day, like that month. It just crushed it, numbers-wise. And, Halo 4 went on and did about, I think Halo did 6 million? Halo 4?
9
million. Whoa.
Or is it 9 million units in its lifetime?
Right. So 9 million units in its lifetime. I don't know. We don't know what Halo 5 is at right now. I'm sure we'll get those numbers maybe by next week, within the week, or within the weekend or something like that. But Halo 5 has been a critical success. It's gotten a lot of high scores. Some people griped about the story, but a lot of people say that Halo 5's multiplayer is the best multiplayer ever, even better than 2.
I'd agree with that. As someone who's been playing through the Halo series throughout the course of the 1 year since the Master Chief Collection, I've got to say Halo 5 is definitely my favorite out of the group, and not just because it's new. It's just that it finally brought Halo out of the 90s or the early 2000s of first-person shooters into the modern era. It is now on the same level as really any other esports shooter.
Right. You know, and that's the thing. You look at it, like you said, esports. It has its own convention. It has its own championship for millions of dollars. Like, I don't know any other franchise that's like this. I mean, besides Call of Duty, which is a multi-platform game. Right. It's a multi-platform game, but Call of Duty has no lore. Call of Duty really has no universe. You know, you have some sequel games and you have some characters that transfer over from game to game, but for the most part, it's nowhere near on what Halo was doing as far as the universe is concerned, or what it's doing outside of gaming. The only other games I can think of that have hit that level of success at one point in time was like Mario, Zelda, Sonic. These were games like back in the 90s, early 90s, 80s, things like that, with their cartoons and, you know, TV shows and cereal boxes and things like that. And you look at the modern era of gaming, you just don't get that anymore. You just don't, except for Halo. I saw Halo. Kellogg's always does different themed cereals, and I know Halo had a cereal at one point. So I think it's on the level in the video game space. I'm not saying it's on the same level as Star Wars as a franchise. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is, in a video game space, I think that it is equivalent to what Star Wars is in a movie space. Anchor, your thoughts?
I'd agree with the comparison, specifically within the video game space. And I think Halo is a cultural touchstone amongst video games. Even if you don't like Halo, like before Halo 4, I never really cared for Halo. I never really bothered with it until Master Chief Collection came out and had the opportunity to play through all of them again. And just, I never particularly cared for it, but it was something I respected because there is a deeper lore behind it. It's not just some random first-person shooter set in space. There is a method to the madness, so to speak. And the multiplayer is very addictive. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I think it's fair to say, like, for me personally, like, I grew up with Star Wars, but I never really cared for Star Wars, at least on the same level some of these people do.
Right.
I definitely see the comparison amongst the people who love Halo to the point they don't want to see any change. Just like with the Star Wars thing, like, people right now are going crazy because thoughts are Luke Skywalker might not be in episode 7, or at least not as a good guy.
Right.
And that's freaking people out.
Right.
And so when, like, the same situation happened with Halo 5. People were freaking out because it was like, Chief might be a bad guy? No.
Yeah, no, people were losing their minds. They were. I mean, when you have a beloved character and you replace them with someone else, or they're non-existent in the game or in the movie, people get really upset. The fanboy in them comes out. So I remember playing Metal Gear 2 on PlayStation 2, and I remember playing that opening sequence where you get to play as Snake, Solid Snake, and you get through that first mission, and the rest of the game you play as Raiden. And I'm like, where is Solid Snake? Like, where is Snake? I don't care for this character. I really don't. And I didn't care for the character whatsoever. And you literally go through the whole course of the game, and that was one of the biggest gripes about Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, don't get me wrong, it was a great game. I just remember feeling a certain type of way. So I can imagine how Halo fans felt in Halo, or how the Star Wars fans feel in the new trailer. But you also have to think again that there are other powerful Jedi out there. A lot of people don't like the fact that they have this new character, Finn, who may possibly be an upcoming Jedi. And a lot of people don't like Jameson Locke, who is pretty much, and this is a spoiler, if you're listening to the show and you have not played Halo 5, please mute the show right now. But, you know, a lot of people didn't like the fact that you play as Jameson Locke for the majority of the game. So, I mean, that's, you know, when you're fanned out about something and you're used to something over a long period of time, you're going to feel a certain type of way. But again, the universe is bigger than the character, and at some point we have to move forward. And I think they're doing a good job with that. A lot of people I heard are excited about Halo 6 and the potential that Halo 6 may be. Paris Games Week popped off, and PlayStation had a pretty decent conference, in my opinion. I'm not knocking anything they showed. There were some things that I like, some things that I didn't like. Obviously, I am not a fan. I am not a fan of the cinematic button press, push and press and play type games that come from Quantic Dreams. However, that Detroit game graphically looked very amazing. It piqued my interest. I just really hope that they do something control-wise that is different from anything they've done previously. Wild looked amazing, in my opinion. But again, the game that got me interested is Horizon. Horizon just looks, every time I see it, I'm just completely, utterly in love with the game. I know a lot of Xbox fans are not liking this conversation right now, but let's just be real for a second. There are good games on other platforms. And I think that Horizon Zero Dawn is one of those games that if you're going to get a PlayStation, that game should be on your list. Seriously, it should be on your list.
I have to agree. It looks very interesting. It seems it's also kind of playing on this theme that I really noticed a lot. We're going to dinosaurs.
Right.
We're going back to this prehistoric thing. And it's kind of interesting, honestly, because the games industry goes through these weird little phases where before it used to be, everybody's doing a World War II first-person shooter, and then it turned into everyone's doing a modern shooter, like a modern FPS, and then it's slowly moving into, we're all gonna do like a slightly futuristic shooter, and moving on to now, and you're starting to see it now a lot more. It's about open world games. It's about third-person open world games, and I think in terms of content. Or also remember the phase we all went through where every main character had a bow. Right. Everybody was doing that for a long time. Mm-hmm. And even now we're going into to dinosaurs in particular. Mm-hmm. There was, what was that game that was showed right after Horizon Zero Dawn? There was some other game. It was like a concept trailer. I can't think of what it was called, but it was another dinosaur-centric game. There's Ark Survival Evolved. Right. There's another dinosaur game. Far Cry is going to Far Cry Primal, which is not dinosaurs, but it's going back to like
prehistoric times. Yeah. The Ice Age type stuff. Yeah.
And we're going back. We're focusing on other stuff. And Horizon Zero Dawn is about robotic dinosaurs.
It's funny that you say that because all the shooters have gone futuristic. Call of Duty has gone futuristic. Titanfall has gone futuristic. Halo is already futuristic. Killzone was futuristic. Then you turn around and all of a sudden we're going back. Ark Survival Evolved, like you said, Far Cry Primal, Horizon Zero Dawn. We are going back. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Dino Crisis next year. I would not be surprised if we saw Dino Crisis next year. The way everything is going back, and that's cool, man. It's cool to go back in time and be prehistoric where you don't have the futuristic weapons that do all these amazing things, amazing ways to kill people. You have to rely on your basic wits. Now, the only difference is that with that particular game, it's prehistoric, but it's also futuristic with technology. So it's like you don't have modern day weapons, but you still have a bow that has different abilities, explosives, and things like that. And the great thing about that game is it's supposed to be an RPG, third-person action adventure game that's open world. And I'm intrigued by that. Everybody knows I'm intrigued by RPGs. Now, I'm not a fan of Guerrilla. I hate Killzone. And I'm just going to say that flat out right now. I do not like Killzone. I tried playing Killzone 2 on my PS3. I was not impressed with it. Graphically, it looked amazing. I have never seen anything like it when I first put it in. But I just wasn't impressed with it. Once I got to playing, I did not like the direction that it went. And I damn sure didn't like the fact that I was stuck with a pistol through the entire game. That just completely pissed me off, especially after playing Halo. But... and in my opinion, Killzone has never been one of those franchises where it was like, oh my God, it's a must-have franchise, or on a level of a Halo where, they wanted it to try to be that way back in the day and it never succeeded. But I think this new game that they have can really, really be a big success and really put Guerrilla on the map if it's done right. I don't want to jump to conclusions or jump ahead, or put the cart before the horse, but I do want to say that I'm impressed with what I've seen so far. Dreams looks great, but I'm just not into the whole creation thing. What about you?
I honestly I skipped over the Dreams portion of it. I skipped to what was the part? I'm trying to remember what I jumped on. Oh, right whenever they showed Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo Sport, so I just didn't pay attention to Dream at all.
It's funny that you didn't pay attention to Dream, knowing that you're such a huge Minecraft guy. I would expect you to pay attention to that. That game graphically looks great, but it's about building and creation and creating dreams and things like that. It's just not my cup of tea. I try to, and listen, I want to make my own game. That's without question. I really do, but I don't think I have the patience for it. I damn sure don't have the time for it. Not saying that the game won't be successful. I don't know what the game will be when it drops. It looks like it's going to be something good from Media Molecule. They did great with, what is the name of that game? The puppet games that they got.
Puppeteer?
No.
You mean Little Big Planet.
Little Big Planet. There you go. Yeah, they've done
Puppeteer 3DR.
Yeah, no, they've done great with the Little Big Planet games. The first two, the third one wasn't as successful. But this game right here may be something that they can look forward to. And they did a lot with VR, a lot of things with VR. I want to talk about VR for a quick second. I think VR will be a fad.
Oh, I definitely agree with you on that one. Gamers have routinely proven that if there's anything that we're going to be doing, we're going to be sitting with a TV and a controller. It's one of those things where we just, no matter how stubborn, no matter how much we even think to the contrary, we're just not going to change.
Right.
It's one of those things. And I think everybody learned that with all the movable games after the Wii, after that whole fad went through. Like, look how much the Wii sold, but it was still, it didn't last. It didn't last for Nintendo. They sold a lot of units initially, and that was pretty much it.
Right.
And that was ultimately the biggest problem that they had. And so a fad, no matter how successful it may be, may not actually have the longevity that it needs to.
Yeah, I think that VR has done great in the PC space because of the simple fact that that's where it started, number one. Number two, you've had people try these things out. You've had people get on these track pads and you're walking and you have these guns and things like that. But in the console space, it's going to be part VR, part motion control. And we all seen what has happened to motion control. I spoke to somebody on Twitter the other day that felt that because Microsoft didn't market the Kinect correctly, and there's not a lot of Kinects in homes, that Sony had the advantage in the motion control space. And I said to him, how many moves you think sold on PS4? Like, let's just be honest here. I'm pretty sure there are more Kinects in the homes than there are Move controllers and Move peripherals with the PS4. And they're supposed to be using those things to boost VR. The PSI, the PS camera, and then you have VR, and then it's supposed to come out with its own specific controller. Now, I think if VR works, you need a controller to be with it, in my opinion. I just don't think motion controls is ready to be, especially the motion controls on the consoles are not ready for, point for point interactivity with VR. But I think with a controller, it could be something special with a controller. But I just don't know how long it will last. And it's super expensive. If you went out and you bought a PlayStation for $400, then you got to turn around and buy PlayStation VR for $400. That's $800 invested into a console. That's crazy. I'll tell you right now, if I put $400 in VR, I better be playing on that thing every day. Seriously. It can't just be a peripheral that just adds on like Kinect. At least Kinect is $150 and it came with the box. It's got to be something that you are consistently playing and consistently enjoying. I just don't think console gamers are going to I don't think that's going to be the next step in the evolution of gaming. I really don't. Paris Games Week, there's some more games coming out. We saw a new trailer from Fallout. We've seen a new trailer from Tomb Raider. They're going to be showing Scalebound stuff. They're going to be showing Quantum Break stuff, obviously. And, I just don't know if Paris Game Week did what Gamescom did for Microsoft. Like when Microsoft came out and they came to Gamescom, I think it really put Microsoft on the map. Microsoft had people's curiosity, but Gamescom got people's attention. So I just really think that it just didn't do what Gamescom did for Microsoft. I think that it did allow people to see new things from Sony, but I think Sony or the PlayStation experience will be the place where they really show off new IPs. If they, and they said they have a lot of new IPs that they're working on, that would be the place that they would show off new IPs and things like that. I just don't know if Paris Games Week did that for me. Any thoughts on that?
I disagree. I think they showed off a lot of games that appeal to the PlayStation group. Like Detroit was another standout one, like you talked about earlier from Quantic Dream. And I think it's just for that player base, I saw a lot of people who were actually, they liked what they saw. And that's, Sony knows how to play to their player base.
Right.
And the only problem right now is it doesn't seem like there's any one particular dominant player base, and that works to their advantage. They know how to make a lot of different games to appeal to a lot of different people.
Right.
So there's always something for you going on there.
I agree. I agree 100%. I mean, that's one thing I do have to agree with. Maybe it didn't appeal to me. I would have loved, if they would have came out with something like Legend of Dragoon 2, oh my God, take my money. I'd have been throwing my wallet at the screen. You know what I'm saying?
I know there was a rumor that Crash Bandicoot was coming back, but
I think if that came back, it'd be multi-plat. It may be first on PlayStation.
Activision owns it.
That's what I'm saying. I think it would be multi-plat. I think it would be first on PlayStation if they did something like that, and then eventually it would hit Xbox.
I don't know what to believe anymore after all these deals with Activision.
Yeah, I don't know. Activision are just like creepy backstabbers. You can't trust Activision. You can't trust, you know who you can't trust? You can't trust Ubisoft. Did you hear about the downgrade to the Division? There was a downgrade to the Division. And
another one?
Yeah, there was a downgrade to the Division. Let me tell you how bad this downgrade was. They said that the downgrade was so bad that the game might not even play the same the way they showed it the first time. Like, things actually changed in the game.
Wow.
Because, I don't know, maybe they couldn't get it to run on the consoles the way they thought they could make it run. But, yeah. Ubisoft are just like a joke at this point. Like, they really are a joke. You know? And I hate to say that because I thought that Ubisoft was probably, before all the games came out, and when they were just showing off Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, and Watch Dogs, then you had the Division. I was like, yo, Ubisoft is the new, EA, the new Activision. All these bombs they dropping, and then you get to play those games, and they're just duds. They're just duds, and you like crazy.
Well, you know what they say. The only reason why Ubisoft's not the worst company in America is because they're based in France.
That's funny. That's a good one. I agree with that one for sure. So Fallout, Tomb Raider, coming out next month, not too far away. And Aaron Greenberg came out and spoke about why they felt that Tomb Raider would not get crushed by Fallout. We know, if you don't know, Anchor is a Fallout fanboy. And the thing that Aaron said was that if you go too early, you run into Call of Duty. Like if you bring the game out a week early, you run into Call of Duty. If you bring out the game a week later, you run into Star Wars. So the best thing that they could do was fall on Fallout. And you have the choice. Now, most people will say, why don't you just get both games? Obviously, just get both games. But if you can't get both games, And this is a question for the listeners as well. If you can't get both games, which game would you choose? Now, Anchor, being the anchor man he is, he picks Fallout. Why do you choose Fallout over Tomb Raider, Anchor?
Well, there's also my clear personal bias.
Right.
I was actually looking through a video I made a year ago, almost the 1st of December or something like that. Whenever after the it was the Great War thing, where they missed the Great War date, which is October 23rd, and all they did was offer a sale on a T-shirt last year. And then I saw another one where I was mad because when people asked about it, they just told them to go buy merchandise, and I was really ticked off at that time, but it came out of love. It came out of love for the game. Come on. And I just think that Fallout 4 is the clear answer for this holiday, especially on that date. And I'm not saying Tomb Raider's bad. I just think it should have picked a different game to go up against, because these are two single-player focused games going up against each other, where you could go against StarWars, where at least there's no campaign in that. There's no issue.
Right.
You could have gone against Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is going to be Call of Duty, and it's going to do what it's going to do. But going up against Fallout, especially a game that's not a yearly release title, a game that people have been waiting what over 5 years for the next installment in, like, they just chose a terrible date to go after.
I don't know. I disagree. I think you don't really have a choice. And I think if you're going to go against something, Fallout would have to be the game. Look, Call of Duty is a mega franchise multi-plat-wise. Okay, especially after most of us played the beta for Call of Duty. A lot of us liked it. I actually liked it myself, and I haven't played a Call of Duty. I'll be honest with you, I think the last Call of Duty I purchased myself was like Modern Warfare 4. I think it was, and I didn't even like Modern Warfare 4. And then my homeboy picked up Advanced Warfare. You know, we do the game share, so I played the campaign, which I enjoyed with Kevin Spacey. I enjoyed the campaign. I actually thought it was really good. I just didn't like the multiplayer. But I like Black Ops 3's multiplayer a lot, surprisingly, and I'm contemplating whether or not I want to pick the game up. But I think with Halo coming out, and my boy's going to pick up StarWars possibly, I think I'm pretty set for a multiplayer experience. Then you have Star Wars on the other hand. Star Wars doesn't have a campaign, but it's Star Wars. First of all, the game graphically looks amazing. Okay, it's probably one of the best, if not the best looking games across consoles, period. On top of that, you have the backdrop of the movie. Everybody's going to be up on it. You have X-Wings, you have TIE fighters. Like, there's so much you can do in a game on a multiplayer perspective that it's going to be hard for a single player game to compete with a multiplayer game. But Fallout is an RPG that has 400 hours worth of gameplay. I think you could play Tomb Raider and knock Tomb Raider out and then go to Fallout. That's how I feel. I think if you pick up Fallout, the possibility of you picking up Tomb Raider will be so far in advance that is, it'll be at a, cheaper price. And that may work for some people. But for me, I want to play Tomb Raider. I played the first one. I really, really liked it. I want to play the second one. I don't want to play Fallout because I know how I am with RPGs. If I pick up Fallout and I start it, I won't play anything else. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to enjoy Halo 5. I'm going to enjoy Tomb Raider. I'm going to enjoy whatever else that I have between me and my boy that we're sharing, whatever he picks up. And then come December, I'm going to wind up picking up Fallout and play that for the whole month of December. And it's going to be my first Fallout. It'll be my first Fallout because I'm a big Elder Scrolls guy. So playing Fallout for the first time and it being Fallout 4 will be very interesting, just to see the differences between the two games, and see what I missed out with the earlier versions. So that's going to be real interesting. I think that Microsoft so far has had a good holiday. I don't know what the sales are going to be like. Our writer on TiCGN.com, Dreyer, he went ahead and did a great fact check and estimation on what Microsoft might have shipped, not sold, shipped. And this is the estimate that he made based on the facts of all of the other numbers that they announced, plus a 6% increase in, I believe it was a 6% increase in sales. And he came up with a number that Microsoft had shipped 24.5 million consoles. If you guys want to see how he came up with that, go to TiCGN.com. You can find an article up there and you can look at what he put together. Now, again, that's not saying Microsoft sold 24 million consoles or 25 million consoles. That's not what he's saying. But what he believes is that they're around 20 million consoles shipped, which means that Microsoft is probably well above 15 million, 16 million in console sales. They're not ever going to talk about console sales again. But I do bet you if they win the month of October and they win the month of November for NPD, they will talk about winning those months. I guarantee you that. They will announce that because that's just what they do. So that is going to be very funny and very interesting to see how the holidays goes with Microsoft and all their great games that they got and all their great bundles. Man, I see some amazing bundles out there. Did you see any good bundles out there? Like any good deals?
Oh man, there's one particular deal that stood out to me. You can buy an Xbox One 500 gigabyte model with Gears of War and Fallout 4 for $300.
Wow.
And not to mention that Gears of War comes with the 4 backwards compatible titles.
Yes, it does. It comes with the 4 backwards compatible titles. I just saw one where you can get an Xbox One 500 gigabyte console with Halo 5 and Fallout 4.
Oh man, how much?
That one is $400. That one was $400. And then they had one at Best Buy on Black Friday. You'll be able to get a 43-inch class 1080p 60 hertz TV plus a 500 gigabyte Xbox One for what is it? I want to say $539, and I think that's a hell of a deal. An Xbox One plus you get a brand new 43-inch television. Oh, and the TV's an LG TV, which is a really good. Actually, they're a really good. They're a really good manufacturer when it comes to electronics. LG. So that's interesting so far. I've seen a few deals out there. Nothing too major. I'm looking for those buy two get one frees and things like that. I'm probably going to pick up an Elite controller. I've heard a lot of great things about the Elite controller.
Oh, definitely. Same here. But for me, it's a little out of my price range for $150 for a controller.
Yeah, I got the inside
wait for that Black Friday deal.
My homeboy works at Best Buy. He gets like, I don't know, he showed me his receipt. He got like $34 off. He paid like $110 for one. I'm like, bro, you got to hook me up. I got to get that controller, man. I got to get that controller. The thing is just too dope, too awesome. Yeah. So, that's it, man. That's it for our show this week. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and hopefully we can get the whole team on and get that scheduled. We really appreciate everybody tuning in to this week's episode of TiC Podcast. A lot of great things happen, man, with Microsoft. The new Xbox experience is dropping on November 12th. If you don't know that, is it November 12th or 11th?
12th.
Yep, dropping on November 12th. So you and your friends, if you're not in the preview program, you can expect the new Xbox One experience on November 12th with over 100 games from Xbox 360 to be available in an Xbox store. Will be in the Windows Store. Now, when you go and look at games to buy digitally, you'll be able to see the Xbox 360 store and all the games that's available. So that's going to be really, really awesome. And definitely download those games with gold, because the games with gold on 360 are backwards compatible and will be available on November 12th to play on your Xbox One. So really appreciate everybody for stopping in. I'm your host, KORSKLL, the last son, and I'm with my man, Anchorman V. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. We are off this planet. Peace.
For the fans, by the fans.